When you are deep in Lebanon or Syria, when did they ever relate with blacks? I am fearfully and wonderfully made, so says the Bible. And if I have that content, if I'm able to do that, it is about me to them, not the other way around. I wouldn't say I worked extra. I mean, I had to prove anything. I flipped the thing. They had to prove. And to be fair, I think we fired a few. They had to prove to me that they are worth working for me.
Welcome back. The conversation continues. We have Mr. Linus with us today. Now, yes. GSK, you worked in very many places. You started in Nairobi, then you went to London, then you did Cyprus for a bit, you even did Pakistan for a while, then back to Nairobi, and then Lagos, and then back to Nairobi. Now, that means that you had to navigate leading in a cross-cultural environment. And I want you to talk a little bit about how you navigated that, working in those across different cultures, different peoples, different environments, and all that, because there are leaders who get challenged with that.
Yeah, actually, that's a very good question. And now it's when I'm reflecting and seeing that I actually did work in very different cultures. Maybe I also illustrate this with some stories, because when you're working in those environments, you definitely get stories. I'm glad that my first assignment outside Nairobi was in London, because London you get all sorts of people. I'm also glad that it was in a multinational. GSK at that time was the second biggest pharmaceutical company in the world. So you can imagine they were already a multicultural environment. And therefore, when you go to London, you've not been there at all. In fact, the first thing that happened in London is I arrive on a Sunday, I'm given a car on Monday. On Tuesday, I'm driving to work. On Wednesday, I get a ticket for speeding. And speeding here, I mean about 50 kilometers per hour, because it was sort of in an estate. And at the end of the month, I see the salary I was promised is raised by 200 pounds. I go rushing to the HR office and say, this is not what we agreed. Then she quickly goes to the drawer and says, this is a ticket that came because the car belonged to the company.
Oh, to the company.
And they straight away deducted. I can tell you for the next 3 years, I was never caught driving, because I knew the consequences of, because the camera takes it and goes straight into the
system.
Owner of the car and fines them. So that's a bit of an aside, but you can see what discipline, how my discipline was instilled. I was driving very fast in Kenya. When I got there,
you had to stop
that environment.
Yeah.
Then I moved to Cyprus, and I moved to Cyprus because we went through a sort of internal merger. And Cyprus is when I really experienced challenges. And they were not bad challenges. They were actually, in fact, when I look back at them. So I go to Cyprus. The first problem in Cyprus is that you have to look around for somebody who talks English. Even there, like we had a distributor system because we didn't have a factory. It's only the CEO who talked English, and maybe one or two other people. So you have to find a way of relating with them, because you still need to talk about the brands. You still need to talk about advertising, and advertising is in Greek. I didn't know anything in Greek other than good morning, which is kalimera. Other than kalimera, I did not know anything else. So you got to work with the agencies in London, and then get somebody who helps to interpret what you're doing, and then still end up doing the advertising. But the best one was when I went to Lebanon. When I went to Lebanon, I meet the country manager for Lebanon. He has to introduce me to the team, and he introduces me to the team, and two things happened. I said, after that, in the introduction, I said I wanted to see a few doctors, dentists, and just understand where we are. I go and see the first dentist, who is a Lebanese gentleman, and then he welcomes me with open, he obviously sees I'm black, so he welcomes me with open hands, and said, he goes on, he's, pretty talkative, he said, the US is a really good place. That is when I did my first degree. I went to X school, and this is where I used to live. Then in that he asked me, so which part of the States, which part of America are you from? He had long decided that I'm a black American. So I told him, I am not from America. Because he had, this expatriate can only have come from those places. I said, Mimi, natoka Nairobi.
I'm from Kenya.
In fact, I don't think I have gone to America. I'm from Nairobi. Then the conversation suddenly changed. How did you find yourself here? How did you move from Nairobi to... So we started talking. But I could see now the conversation was changing because it was now veering towards whether we have cars in Nairobi or, those kind of things. So you can imagine how it moved from
whether we live on trees,
a black America to this kind of thing. But it was interesting. But when we were sitting there, when I was being introduced, I remember a young man who was sitting next to me, and nimeweka mikono namna hii. And you guys may think it's a joke, but it's not. And I could see from the corner of my eye, even him, his hands were close to mine. We were sitting there on the table. And I could see the guy moving his fingers slowly, 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 and he was just trying to touch, to touch.
To see whether it's real.
Feel that black skin. Then me, since I'm seeing it with the corner of my eye, I move the word closer. It's like, touch as much as you want. We're looking at the PowerPoint.
It doesn't hurt.
We are looking at the PowerPoint.
What?
Touch as much as you want. And when you think about it, when you are deep in Lebanon or Syria, when did they ever relate with blacks? You see them on TV, they are not there.
But not
and
real
if
life.
Not traveled, so you had the opportunity of touching this guy, and you just afford them the opportunity to touch. But other than that, not very respectful, and I realize whether you're black, brown, red or yellow, at the end of the day, it is the content you have, and also the confidence you have.
And the delivery, yeah.
If you are confident, like if they don't get the number, I think they knew that something was going to happen, and then you also support them. And I really enjoyed. In fact, this person who was trying to touch me, I followed up, just relating with them. And eventually he told me, he was a young man, he told me he was planning to get married. I asked them why they were going for honeymoon. I said, have you considered Kenya? Then he said, Kenya, how do you go to Kenya? I said, yeah, it's a good place. If you want to go, I'll help organize for a honeymoon. Wow. Want to talk to the girlfriend? And actually they came here.
They came for honeymoon. Wow.
And then I was saying, now those are two that have influenced. When they go back, the next black guy
changes
to
their
go
perspective.
There will find a few more people who appreciate that we don't live on trees, like you said, that we are a good society like them. In fact, we are ahead in many respects. So we had lots of those challenges, but me, I think I enjoyed them. They were pleasant.
But I have a question.
Yes.
Do you feel like you had to work extra hard in those environments? Like to prove that you are as good as everybody else. Like this guy is touching your skin to see it's real,
Actually,
how did you...
Actually, because I was conscious that I'm in the minority, I actually don't think I worked extra hard. I think it's the other way around. I think I made them work extra hard.
Wow.
Because I go there as a manager. I have a target. And one of the things that can happen there is to say the reason we are not achieving in this country is because of this guy who came from Africa. So for me, it's not working hard. It is making demands and working and ensuring that people
are delivering. Again,
discipline. So if there is one thing that they would say is they were meeting at 8 o'clock. I say, whenever I come, my meeting's at 7 o'clock. And I want all of you, if you came at 7:15, you went back for that day. So it is creating the discipline so that, again, if the next person who comes is not told these guys are like this, and two, I had to deliver superior results. So I wouldn't say I worked extra. I mean, I had to prove anything. I flipped the thing. They had to prove. And to be fair, I think we fired a few. They had to prove to me that they are worth working for me. rather than the other way around.
And not the other way
Not
around.
the other way
So
around.
you asserted your leadership.
Yes, I went there as a manager. I remember another story. When I went there in Syria, the distributor, because there we use GSK uses a distributor system. The distributor had an office which opened into a boardroom. So I go into the boardroom, and the guy that sees me, he had just heard the name, he didn't know who it was. So the guy calls the vice president in London, and almost he could use some words that almost says, what kind of person have you brought us? We have very ambitious targets. Is he going to be able to do it? My boss called me on another line and told me, this is what he's saying. Linus, prove to them. Show them what you can do. So I knew what he's saying. I knew I had the back of my boss, so we worked and we delivered big time. That guy as well, because I could see how he was. We ended up becoming friends. When I finished and I came back to Nairobi, I kept in touch. He said he wants to climb Mount Kenya. I come, you stay in my house. Then we organized for him to climb Mount Kenya. He climbed Mount Kenya with his wife. So again, you make the small dent in those people. And I was so keen, not that I have a good house, I have an ordinary house, but I was so keen for them to stay in the house and just realize we don't stay in those places you're talking about.
We are normal people.
Since I had also been to his place,
Yeah.
I was looking forward to showing off my place.
Yeah, I know. So what you're saying is that your competence, your knowledge, and your intelligence is what really earns you the respect of your colleagues.
It's what gives you the license.
And gives you the license to lead them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I don't think we should get lost in these things. Yeah, you get even today you say ratio thing, discrimination here. But I think our mind should be,
it's a mindset.
I am fearfully and wonderfully made.
Yeah.
So says the Bible. And if I have that content, if I'm able to do that, it is about me to them, not the other way around. They're not going to happen to me. I'm not going to happen to them. Especially when you have that content that is superior, or that you're working hard, you are getting it, and you have some value to add.
Yeah.
You add that value with confidence. Add that value with confidence and deliver. So that example of Near East, by the way, it's not easy. It's not easy for you to go to Syria and there's a country manager there, and everybody, 80 salespeople and others, are all Syrians, and you're the only black guy in the room. You can decide to melt, or you can decide to say, there's a reason God brought me here, is to show them how to do biashara. Because I've been vetted all the way from London, and they know I'm capable. So you deliver. And by the time you're leaving there, you know you have cleared the way for other black fellows too. Because the only black fellows you saw there are maids. And I can't remember seeing a colleague that I would relate with in those countries. But I'm sure now there are many.
So you just say, I'm a person on a mission here, and I know what I want to achieve. And then
there's
you go
a purpose why you are sent there. It wasn't
accident. Yeah, exactly. Now, tell us about Lagos. You were there for how long?
I was there for 3 years to
3
the day.
years.